Hello, today we are going to see how we can upload a file to Node.js to AWS using Node.js. So we'll be creating a basic Node.js server. We'll be rendering an HTML file using which we will be uploading a file, and then we will be creating an IAM role for programmatic access to AWS S3. We will also use AWS JavaScript API to upload that file, and then in the end we'll create some necessary routes, controllers and services using which we will process the file and then upload to AWS S3. So let's start. So the first thing which we are going to do is we'll create an index.js file, and I'll include Express, and then I'll create an application. Now I'll be creating one basic get route which will serve our index.js file, and that index.js file will be used to upload the file from the user's browser. So now I'll be creating some port. I'll be assigning it to port 8080, and then I'll start my server using app.listen, and just one console message after the end so that I can know my application is running. Now I'll try to start my server to see everything is working fine, and so app is listening on port 8080, which is fine. Now the next part, what I will do is I will create an index.html file in the public folder, as I've mentioned in my index.js file at line number 5. So I'll be creating a public folder. I'll be putting up index.html file inside it, and I'll be creating a very basic file with very basic HTML tags, and just for now I'll be just printing hello world sort of stuff into it. I'll give some title to it, maybe Node.js S3 app, and one basic hello world kind of text to my file. I'll save it. I'll start my server again, and let's see whether this file is coming up in the browser or not. So it's localhost, it's port 8080, not 8000. Fine. Okay, so we are not getting file. Let's see why we are not getting file. We'll go to our index.js again, and file here in the directory name I have put a comma. It should be plus, so it has to be like complete path from directory into the HTML file. And also, like, I'll do one thing. I'll just put this file inside in that console log inside the callback router. Oh, cool. So now my Node.js server is up. Now the next thing what we have to do is we have to get the AWS credentials for programmatic access, and like we have to create a service so that we can reach out to AWS-SDK. Before that, let me install AWS-SDK. Now since that has been installed via my npm, I'll create a S3 service inside my source folder. Also, like, I'll be using the source folder to do create all sort of files here. Now I'll also create a configuration file. I'll call it as config.js, simple. In this file I'll be keeping my AWS keys and secret, which will be used to log into the AWS. So I'll first create a dummy structure of it, and then right after this we'll go to our AWS console and we'll create a IAM user. So here I am at my AWS console. Let's go to IAM. Inside IAM we have to create a new user, and that user will be logging into our S3 and then uploading the file for authenticating purposes. Now we'll add a new user. We'll give some name to the user. I'll call it admin. I need programmatic access, so I'm just checking in the access keys. I do not need password. So next, to the permissions, we have to give some permissions. So basically, like, here all we need is the S3 permissions, but for simplicity I'm just giving all administrative permissions to this user. So I'll be creating that role, and we'll be attaching that role to this user. So okay, so we have created a group here, and okay, so that has been added. It's optional that we should give some tags, but I'll be giving some tags here. I'll call it app admin, and next review, and then I can just create a user. Now the moment I create a user, I'll get the access key and then the secret key. So this is the these are the two keys which we have to store in our config.js file. Fine. So now we assume that I've saved those files. Now I'll create the S3 service. I'll first include AWS SDK. Now I'll create a function which will create the instance of S3, and to create the instance of S3 I'll just use new aws.s3, and then I'll pass my credentials inside it, and then using those credentials we'll be logging into the AWS. Now yeah, so I'll be requiring those configurations where I've stored my credentials. That's it. And then I'll also create a function upload file which will take the file as an argument, take the bucket name, and then upload the file to the S3 bucket. Whatever the bucket name we will pass in, it will upload there. We'll also be okay, so what we have to do, we have to create a file stream, because whenever a file comes, it gets stored temporarily onto the my servers, some temporary path, and we have to read that file again as a file stream and then upload it. So that all we have to do. So yeah, so I'll just call s3.upload and pass the parameters body, bucket, and key name, and that should be enough to upload my file. Now I'll go to my index.js again, and then I'll create a new route, and this route will be a post route and will be called by my HTML file to upload that whatever file user selects. So I'll call it as upload to S3. There are two things: either you can define a function here, or like what I'll be doing is I'll be defining the function inside a controller file. I'll call it a controller. So I'll just define some name here, and then we'll create a controller which will get the request, response, and then process the file. Also the file which okay, before that let's create another one controller inside the same source. So I'll call it s3 controller.js. Cool. So now we'll also, like since what I was saying, since this will be multi-part, so we'll be using one library Formidable to read the form fields. So now this my controller s3 upload, request and response, and then I'm creating another function which will be used just to read the form and then return me whatever is coming from the form. So I'll create a promise, because that will be an asynchronous process. So I'll use Formidable incoming form, and then once you create an object of that Formidable, you have a couple of functions: file, which will read the file, and then this will be called once file has been read completely, and then on form end I'll resolve whatever I've got, and then I will send it back. So yeah, so I'll wrap it inside a try catch in case if there is any error while uploading the file. So now since I got the file data in the form data, I'll be passing all of the data to my upload file to S3 service. Now once this is done, let me just call my controller here and just map that controller method to my upload to S3 route. Once this is done, let's also go to S3 and then create a bucket, the bucket in which we are going to upload our file. So I'll be naming it as gravity and time test bucket, and also like bucket name has to be unique, so make sure that you are giving some unique name. So I'll create a bucket. Fine, so there is a bucket, gravity time test bucket, and currently there is nothing inside this bucket, as we can see. Now what we'll do, we'll try to create one, that HTML file upload thing. So I'll be using one very basic thing, so I'm not using any library or something, just plain vanilla JavaScript. So one input type file, ID you can give anything. I'm putting it as image file, and then save photo. Although like if in this example we'll be using image, but then you can use some generic name as well. So I'll just put, instead of image I'll just use some file. So and I'll be using XML HTTP request, but in case if you're using Angular or React or any other thing, feel free to use that to upload your file or to write your script to do that, to make calls to your HTTP server. But then the purpose is like you have to send the data as a form, multi-part data, otherwise like you won't be able to send your file data to your backend server. So fine, so now this is coming up, and okay. So this is working fine. Now what we'll do is we'll open our console, and then we'll try to upload a file, and then we'll see whether like we are able to upload the file or not. So I'll upload this file, and okay, so we have encountered an error. Let's see like why we have encountered an error. So we are not putting any logs here. So in the catch, let's print what is the exception what we are receiving. So I'll put console.log ex exception, and then I'll try to refresh that page again and then upload this file so that it will trigger the method. And now we must have got something in the exception. Okay, so when we read this, it says that the path argument must be of type string. Okay, fine. So we are giving the path inside our S3 service, so I guess there is something there. So what I'll do is I'll first try to print what is coming in my file object. So I'll just try to print console.log file object to see what all data is coming inside file object, so that I can pass proper data to my those methods which I have created. So again I'll perform the same things to trigger this, and this time I can see what is coming in my file is, it's not the file.path, but it is file path. Okay, so it's file object.file path, and also like it's not the file object.name, it is original file name in the key with which the file will be created. So this is done, and also like one thing I forgot was to return the instance of the S3 which I've created, and also the region was missing. So I'll be putting it as US East 1, because in my bucket also I have defaulted to US East 1, but you can use any other region, whatever you like, but make sure that the region is same in your S3 as well. So I'll be commenting this console, and I'll try to rerun this again to see. Also one thing, like we have not updated the bucket name, so I'll update the bucket name in my controller, because that's where I'm passing it as an argument. So this is the bucket where I want to upload my data, and now let's refresh this page and try to upload this file again and see whether it is successful or error. So this time it is uploaded, which is success. Let's see whether the file has been reached here or uploaded properly or not. So the file has not been uploaded, and I guess the problem is I am not called the promise. I've just called the method, but I have not called the promise. So I'll just call the promise in my S3 upload, and then now I will try to refresh this page again and try to upload the file to see whether it is uploading. So it says okay, it says uploaded, and let's see whether okay, fine, now my file is there. What we'll try to do is we'll try to see whether we can download this file from here, and then we'll see whether it's the same file or not. So let me open and see. It's like yes, it's the same file which we have uploaded. So that's how we can upload a file from our website to S3 using Node.js, and in the next section I'll be creating a video where you can download the file as well. Thanks for watching.